Most t-shirts are simply cool to look at or look in. Well, so are ours. But ours also aim to send a message. They aim to put a name on obstacles that once stood in your way and aren't there anymore. Struggles that you turned into successes and crushed. You made it look easy. Shop at mile.today. Mile.today. www.mile.today. A GNS collection. You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with your host, D.Cal.
This is Dave in Auburn, California, and I'm listening to the E.I.T.H.R with D.Cal.
And happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy D-Cal here, hosting the E.I.T.H.R podcast on Monday, the 18th of July, 2022, coming from the GNS HQ here in gorgeous, beautiful, not too hot whatsoever, Northern California. I just want to say thank you to all the listeners, everybody who's tuning in to the E.I.T.H.R podcast here in Auburn, California, San Francisco, the Bay Area, all the way out to Northeast Ohio, Florida. Even got some people out there in Georgia, from Bankhead, Georgia. Want to give a special shout out to some of the new booties listening to the podcast of the E.I.T.H.R out there in Denmark, and some of my newfound friends in Russia. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys giving me the chance to try to win you over, at least for a couple minutes. Here at the E.I.T.H.R, the E.I.T.H.R is not going to stand for the elephant in the room. What we like to do is kind of talk about topics that sometimes aren't the easiest to approach. They're not the easiest to digest, and they damn sure aren't the easiest to communicate. But I do my best to play devil's advocate so everybody can see both sides as best as possible, without the yelling, because obviously the only voice you can hear is mine. So I try to speak for everybody as best as I can. If you're not that savvy when it comes to tech and when it comes to apps, and you don't really know, and you're in the car with a friend or somebody downloaded it for you, but you don't know how to really operate the app or smartphone, it's okay. Daddy's got you. All you gotta do is go to youtube.com, and you can search for the parent company, the GNS Inc. And when you find the GNS Inc., subscribe to the page. And every single time we do a live broadcast of the E.I.T.H.R podcast, it comes up on the YouTube page as well. If you are semi-savvy, you know how to push some buttons, you know how to scroll through a screen. Simple as that. Make sure you follow us on social media. You have Instagram. And for the sophisticated folk out there who happens to have Twitter, the handle is the same. It's the E.I.T.H.R. TheEITHR. Simple as that. Okay? That way you can get hold of us. I want to give a special shout out to the firemen that's out there right now, because I know, Lord knows, you guys had a really busy weekend. And you probably got a busy week ahead of you because of the heat in majority of the country. I believe in Northeast Ohio it was storming. So it might not be too hot out there, but Ohio is some unique individuals. And I mean that in the most special way. So, love Ohio. Ohio's great. Never been there yet, but hopefully one day it'll be on my bucket list and I can sit back and say, this is definitely one place I'm never going to come back to ever again. I'm joking. Kind of. Anyway, I have to give a special shout out also to the most underpaid jobs in the history of underpaid jobs. Shout out goes out to all the teachers, law enforcement, and medical staff. In my Tupac voice, you are appreciated. I just wish that people would compensate you as much as they brag about you being heroes. I kind of wish your paychecks would reflect that. That's, but hey, what the hell do I know? You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. Breaking news, not breaking necessarily, but for those who don't know this, it's breaking to you. The E.I.T.H.R podcast was always coming to you Mondays and Fridays at 3:30 Pacific, which I believe is 11:30 in Europe, UK, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We are now adding another slot. We're going to be doing Wednesdays also at 3:30. So I know you guys can't get enough of me, and I can't get enough of giving it to y'all. So therefore, this week you'll have us today. You'll have me on Wednesday, and you'll also have me Friday at 3:30. Just want to go ahead and give you guys that heads up. I'm kind of excited with the rate of people I've been getting listening to the podcast. It lets me know, okay, I might be doing something. So I promise, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone in between who relates to whatever is in between, I'm not going to let you down. Celebrity news. I want to get into this real quick because I figured this is on everybody's mind. This is on the tip of everybody's tongue, and everyone is just clamoring, conversing, and talking and thinking about this. Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Ben and Jennifer Affleck, the Benefers. Just want to give you guys a congratulations officially from me to you and anyone else who gives a shit. Side note, Ben Affleck did a hell of a job playing Batman in the Justice League. I liked it. Hey, he redeemed himself from what he did when he was Daredevil. I tell you that right now. Ben Affleck was the truth. He's the truth. And again, J-Lo seems like she's happy. This is not going to be bagging or bashing or trolling. I'm sincerely saying congratulations to them. Oh, and we don't really hear about the Kardashians much. So let me go ahead and be the first one to bring it up to you if you haven't heard. Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian are having another child. But this is going to be through a surrogate mother. We know, but this is what they're telling the public. And Khloe's going to raise this baby as if this baby was meant to be hers, because apparently it was meant to be hers when he was with another woman. Okay, so that's that. A few things I want to talk about on the topic today. I'm going to kind of keep it light as I try to do. But we will get some serious some feedback from these questions that I'm asking. So I'm driving the other day and I see Mega Millions is 580 million here in California. And I kind of want to ask you guys, because I started thinking about this. If you struck it rich and you won the Mega Millions and you decided to take the lump sum, not the installments, the lump sum, and for what I understand, a lump sum, it's like, I'm guessing, so don't hold me to this, but I think the tax on it is fucking ridiculous. It's like 40, 50. It's stupid. But let's just say you take the lump sum, because no matter what the lump sum is, it's more than what we all got if we all put our penny bank together and dumped it on the floor, right? So if you were able to get the lump sum of the Mega Millions, like I said, like $580 million, what are the 5 things you would do immediately, right off the bat? Don't say quit your job, because that's a gimme, right? Most people will probably go to work and just not do shit at work, so they can fire you and you can collect unemployment while you're a multimillionaire. So you're not slick on that. So we're going to eliminate that option. Quitting a job is not even one of the 5. What's something else? Be creative. Think. Seriously. What are the 5 things that you would do if you want to make $1 million? Me personally, what I would do is I would take the lump sum and I would get caught up on everything that I need to get caught up on. Okay, that's common sense. That's probably the second thing that most people would do. That's the first thing that I would do, is get caught up on my quote unquote my debt. Second, I would pay back people who I owe money to. It's not a lot of them, but I still have some debt that needs to get taken care of. And so once that's squared away, okay, that's number 2. I will buy me properties. And with these properties, they're going to be sporadically across the planet. They're not going to be extravagant, luscious estates like I thought I would probably do when I was younger. Instead, what I would do is I would probably get something like in Thailand or Spain, one of those 2. And it would definitely be either like a beachfront or an ocean view of the water. And I much rather see the sunset than the sunrise. So it would be towards the west end of wherever it is that I can find that type of property, right? Each property that I could find, it would be at a sunset view. Doesn't matter where, all of them will have a view of the sunset. I'm more of a water baby, so most of them will try to be as possible by water. If not, I'm okay with mountain. I'm okay with rolling hills. But that's what I would do. The next thing I would do is I would buy some apartments throughout, northern, central, Southern California, Miami, Orlando, some of the really poor neighborhoods across the country. And I would buy these properties and I would renovate them all out. And then what I would do is I would take the homeless and I would give them a place to stay rent free, right? But it's going to be kind of like in exchange for paying the bills. What you're going to do is you're going to work. And so the work that I would have them do in order for them to stay there, they would be doing community service, not just in the neighborhood, but throughout the city. Sidewalks, taking out trash. They'll be volunteering to the neighborhood to keep the neighborhood clean. And I would have it like a 3-year program where the longer you are, year 2, year 3, you will pay a small percentage of rent to your room. And these, like I said, the rooms will be furnished. They'll have bedding, they'll have toiletries, everything like that. There would be, curfew for them to come back to, so on and so forth. I would have volunteer, medical people, volunteer teacher, who want to help them, read whatever they got going on. People who have the medical issues, there'll be a team of people there to help with that. And after year 4 or 5, depending on how that's, how I set it up. Again, this is hypothetical. If I wanted to make $1 million, this is what I would do. And so by year 4 or 5, if they wanted to stay as a tenant, what I would do is I would move them upstairs to the higher levels, and you will just be a regular tenant. You will be completely separate from the people who are in my program or staying there, going through my program, my system, or whatever. But if you wanted to give back and become like a mentor yourself, okay, cool. We'll put you with a salary. We'll get your payment arrangements, situated. Get your numbers right for what you're going to pay. So on and so forth. Perks, incentives, discounts, blah 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 blah. And rinse and repeat. And we would do that because I honestly feel with everything that's going on right now in the world, it's extremely difficult to fix the homeless problem when inflation, overpricing, and all this that's going on is creating more people to be on the verge of being homeless. So you're pricing out people, which is possibly increasing the homeless population. And in certain cities throughout the country, you're forcing homeless people to migrate places that they've always been. And they gotta find a new place to live. And most of that comes from just the optics of how the city looks with homeless camps on the sidewalk. Granted, you do have those people who kind of make it bad for the homeless people to stay where they are because they do certain things and relieve certain things in public in the sidewalk. I get it. That's why the 4th thing that I would do is buy these apartments, and they would have like the first 2, the first 3 levels will be dedicated to them, right? And get them all, because a lot of these people, despite what people may think, most of them were on the right path. Something happened that steered them wrong. And I know the first thing people want to blame is drugs. And that's not always the case. Some of them may just hit a depression. I know when I was going through my situation, it was a bad partnership. And then that partnership just spiraled down, man. And no one could relate to what I was going through, which made it more difficult for me to communicate, which caused me to keep a lot of my stuff in. Now, I never had a drinking problem. I never had a drug problem, but I did have a housing situation that could relate to those that you see on the street, myself. So that's what I would do to give back to them. The 5th thing that I would do if I won the Mega Millions, I would take my nieces, my nephews, my brothers, my sister, 10 of the closest friends that I know that mean a lot to me, and I would buy them. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? If Jesus walked down the sky right now, whoever it is you believe in, walked out the clouds right now and said, tell me where you want, and I will grant you there, you would get a one-way ticket and a limo ride to the airport. And within that private jet, you will have anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 in cash. Each person, 10 to 15. 15 if I really love you, 10 if I'm just doing this to shut you up. Right? So I would do that. Then, as you board your plane with your cash, it's set for the destination of the airport of wherever in the planet you say you wanted to go. Once you got off your plane, there's another limousine to take you to your home that you say you wanted to live. House is paid for. You have a car or a truck, whichever one you told me you wanted. So you got a house, you got a car, you got a truck, you got 10 to 15 grand to do whatever you want it with. You are now the fuck on your own. I took care of you the most I could. Now the rest is up to you for your journey. So you can do whatever you want with that $10,000 to $15,000, but you do not have to worry about your rent because the house is paid for. It's in your name. My name is nowhere on the title. I paid cash. That property is yours for my sister, my brothers, my nieces, my nephews, 10 of my closest friends. Have at it. That is you. If you call me for money, I will block you. If you Call me because you want to hang out, we will kick it. Anything after that, I really don't know what to say. But that's what I would do with my 5. Like the top 5 things I would do if I won the Mega Millions. There's more things I would do too, but that's definitely the 5 things I want to do on my bucket list. I honestly feel the best Pitbull, if anyone knows about reggaeton music, Mr. 305, right? He was on a TV show and he made a very powerful quote. And that quote is, people say money can't buy happiness. And I don't remember who told him this quote, but he was telling the host of the show, money can buy happiness. You just have to give it away. So since I can't die with all that money, I might as well help other people live with that money. So that's what I would do. Naturally, not everyone has the same mindset as me, but what would you guys do? Have you thought about that? Are you sitting in the car talking to yourself about it? But I've always thought about doing something like that like the past 10 years. I just never had a way of doing it. But like I said, if I ever won that, definitely do that. There's a lot of people, another thing I want to talk about is support and support systems. But should a person continue to support their friend or their friends in whatever endeavors that they got going on, despite never receiving equal or similar support in return? Like, do you feel that's a fair exchange for people? Meaning, because a friendship is a relationship, right? And a relationship is a relationship. So if you're the kind of person that's constantly giving in this relationship, do you expect to get something in return? Should you expect to get something in return? Or should you do it because this is who you are and don't expect anything in return from anybody else? Does that rule apply in friendship and just the general public? Does that rule apply in monogamous relationships as well? Right? Because you got to ask yourself. There's a lot of people who are jaded because of that. But are they jaded because they were expecting something in return? You know, if you're the kind of person who takes versus give, do you feel that's balanced? Do you feel that's fair to people? Right? Do you feel that's something that, well, that's not my problem, that's their problem? Right? And I get it, man. Listen, you're going to die your way and I'm going to die mine. I get it. So, we can't make each other do whatever the other person wants. But is it fair to have a friend who is going through something, but yet they constantly give you assistance? Should that person stop once they see they're not getting anything in return? It's kind of one of those things where you sit back and think about it. It's a very crucial thing for a lot of people because you might see yourself in a completely different light, but the way you're perceived by other people, well, obviously that's a little bit different. So how should a person take that? Like, what should a person do? Should they continue to give because it's just the right thing to do? Or what should they do? Have that ever happened to you before? Have you ever been in a situation where you've given? Again, I'm not talking about relationships, just like monogamous relationships. I'm just talking about like friendship in general, workplace, right? Should recognition, should acknowledgement be good enough? I know there are people who I personally know who would do nice things just so they can dangle it over your head. I did this for you, and hold that against you. That's not fair. That's not right. That's almost like a sign of manipulation. So you did it not genuinely, but you did it because you wanted to be able to say, I have this over you. That's kind of like blackmail, right? That's not legit. But then again, if you know the person's that way, should you still help her? Should you still help him? It's kind of one of those self-evaluation things, right? I'm the kind of person, I'll help you to help you because I want to see you succeed, right? Anyone who knows me on the business aspect understands that if I eat, we all getting full. So I'm the kind of person who I kind of expect people to have the same mindset. So when I realize that others do not have that mindset, yeah, it fucks with me a little bit. Because it's kind of like, I don't need you to do anything in return, but how can you not understand that you're focusing on a piece of the puzzle and I'm looking at the bigger picture here? It's shouldn't this be more than just, you know? But some people, man, they don't think like that. So again, what should you do? There's a lot of people who I know are like that, and it's very. Sometimes we do things, man, and we know it's bad. We know we need to stop. We need to correct it. We know this. We know it. We fucking know it. But it's so much routine that we don't. So you got to ask yourself, when is the best time to get out of a bad investment? And the answer is, the best time to get out of a bad investment is when you realize you're in one. The moment you realize you're in a bad situation, that's the best time to dip. Easier said for some, harder to do for others. I understand. It's all perspective. But I'm going to tell you right now, my homegirl Carmen has been on this savage of a journey to lose weight. And listen, this woman has lost a whole ass person. I remember she was on Facebook and we were discussing about, different things to work out and so forth. And I sent her this video. And I was like, listen, man, when I was working out and going to the gym, this is the dude that got me motivated. It was this person, it was this person, and this woman, and this guy. I would watch their videos and listen to them. I wouldn't even watch them when I was at the gym. I would just use them as music in my headphones. So when she started watching the video, she was like, Davey, I'm in love with this. And her personality is the same as mine when it comes to it, which is that drill sergeant, that tough love, that shit talking, not degrading type of talking, but that bring the best out of you, old school football coach, military type of coach. That motivated her to not stop, despite not being ready. And she'll tell you, the first step to do is the first one. And that's the most difficult step. The first step is the most difficult step, right? The worst thing about the gym is not the lifting weights. The worst thing about the gym is not the treadmill. The worst thing about the gym is not the cardio. The worst thing about the gym is not the classes. The worst thing about the gym is getting in that motherfucker. That's the worst part, is getting up to get out of to get into. Listen, getting out of bed isn't hard, but staying in bed is just so much easier. And sometimes we take the easier route than the more difficult route, knowing the more difficult route is more beneficial, right? I brought up the Carmen situation because that is somebody who showed appreciation by saying thank you. And now she got her daughters going to the gym. Now her daughters do martial arts. And they're like state champions. Like these some badass little chica. One hat thief steals her Mile hat all the damn time, which I like it. But they are creating like their own little workout circuit. So she's almost, and I'm trying to get her to do it actually, but it's like I'm trying to get her to create like her own fitness business, right? I think she'll be great at it because she's one of the people who I was at this point, lowest of low. And it's almost to the point where when she sees old pictures of what she used to look like a year ago, she wants to break down and cry. Like, how did I let myself get to this point? And it's easy. Here's how you let yourself get to your point. Because you put everything else before your own well-being. Including myself, we always say there's not enough time. Jerry Rice, arguably the greatest wide receiver in the history of the NFL, says you have to make time. Because if you don't prioritize yourself, you're prioritizing somebody else. And once someone else becomes your priority, they will never allow you to put yourself first again. So you have to make a decision. Whose happiness is more important? You or somebody who doesn't give a fuck about you? Choose. So again, when it comes to support, should you continue to give this support to someone who doesn't return it in kind? Or are you doing it because this is just your temperament? This is just your personality. This is just who you are. And you don't expect nothing in return. If you don't expect nothing in return, I feel that you're a great person. You're a kind heart. You're a kind soul. If you do expect something in return, there's levels to that. And once you realize that they're not returning the favor, at least in appreciation, you didn't make the decision if you want to kind of wing yourself off. But if you're the kind of person that does shit just to hang over somebody's head, I hope every day you get stuck in traffic. Even at night. Because you're the kind of person that will make someone who's actually has a genuine heart turn into a bag of salt with a vinegar coating. And that's nasty. And that's how the attitude happens. And then that person's attitude winds up rubbing off on everybody else. And now you got a bunch of negative Nancy's because somebody had a bad attitude one day and now everyone's negative around them. It's kind of interesting. Communication is next, right after this show.
You know, there's nothing more sexier than a person who is confident. Especially confident without having to say it. You can just tell how they walk, how they talk, even how they casually dress. T-shirt and jeans. Yeah, see, to me, that's confident while comfy. Jot this down and check these out. Go online to mile.today. Again, that's mile.today. MILE.today. A GNS collection.
This is Henry from New York, and I listen to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with my homie Decal.
Hi, this is Clarissa with Sipology, and we have a fantastic selection of tea, teaware, and various other items. Currently, we are offering a huge 25% off sale with Christmas in July. Come check us out on Facebook at Rissa E.I.T.H.R. That's Rissa E.I.T.H.R.
So, the next thing I want to kind of talk about, and I spoke on it briefly, ladies and gentlemen, is communication. Anybody who's been into a disagreement, Lord knows, anybody who's had a conversation on social media, Jesus, you understand how crucial communication really is. Anyone who's ever text or sent an email. First of all, let me ask you guys this question. When you're on social media, whether it's a thread of comments and replies, or it's in the inbox, if you're having a conversation on Twitter, if it's through email at your work, whichever one, you guys happen to do often or frequently, what voice do you use when you are reading the responses? Right? Are you hearing it in the voice of the person who normally talks to you? Or are you hearing it in a voice of whatever mood you're currently in? That's important to differentiate, right? Because our moods change. The wording doesn't. And because our moods change, the voice that we hear, the tonality of how we read it, the meaning changes, the interpretation can change. So, are you the kind of person who can read it and understand who it is that sent it to me, what this person normally is like in conversation, how are they normally talking to me when we do conversate? Are they calm? Are they sarcastic? Are they aggressive? Are they witty? Are they playful? How do they respond generally? That's how I approach each message I read. I take it with how you normally engage with me, and that's how I read whatever it is that you're typing or texting to me. Because I can't hear your voice on a thread unless you send a voice clip. And 99% of us hate the way we sound anyway, right? So we're never going to do that because we're embarrassed by our own voices, which is interesting. With all the filters that we have on social media, we're more important. We're more focused on how we look versus how we sound. I'd rather look pretty than sound intelligent. I guess. But anyway, back to it. What voice do you use? How do you hear this? Because if anyone's ever had a conversation with me via chat or anything, I'll say something. I'll reread what I wrote. And then if I even feel there's an inkling of miscommunication, I'll clarify it even more. No, what I was saying by this is this, and this. I didn't want you taking it the wrong way. And I don't do that because I'm some weakling or I'm some scaredy cat or I'm some sissy. I do that because I want to take in consideration anybody who feels that this might be taken the wrong way, right? Because where I'm from and where you from might take this phrase in two different directions. And my tone is one way, but your mood is another. So therefore the interpretation is going to be non-matching, right? So I try to put out the fire before the spark even happens, right? Granted, I have a quasi-hyper overthinking brain when it comes to certain things. But I'd rather be too careful with your feelings versus too inconsiderate to care. But that's how I communicate. But with you guys, how do you read? What tone do you hear? That also can determine where your mindset is. It also can determine what type of mood you're constantly in. If you're always hearing aggression, maybe because you're so damn aggressive that people don't know how to talk to you because of how you would respond. Are you the kind of personality who I respond with anticipation of you responding like this, right? Do you kind of jump the gun on how people communicate with you? It's very interesting when you think about that, right? Something small, something minute, something so simple. But to understand how a person's tone when reading this can dictate a whole conversation, right? Listen, this is a general statement. This is just a general broad stroke. This is not an accusation of anything particular. See what I'm doing there? I'm putting out the fire before the spark comes. But any man knows when you shoot a text message to your partner, they will read that thing and can possibly 180 what you're intending to do, right? And now you have to be aware of, well, if I continue with it because they know what I mean, or do I have to change it up because, oh shit, she took it the wrong way. Now we're looking at backpedaling. Now we're looking, you got caught up in something. Oops, I didn't mean that. And now you're trying to quote unquote weasel your way out of that, right? That might be too much work for somebody to have to do if you're the kind of person that takes every single conversation to the negative extreme where nobody wants to talk to you, right? I myself was guilty of that at one point in my life, which is why I had to sit back and say, hold up. He doesn't talk like this to me in person. Why am I assuming that they're talking to me like this via chat, via text, via email? They're not. How do they normally talk? Then when I bring it back up to them later on, they were like, yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. And I was like, okay. So you kind of got to mind yourself on that, guys. So the question I want to ask you is this. In communication, which is more important? Is it the delivery or is it the message? Meaning, is it how I'm talking to you or is it what am I actually saying to you? Right? I'm the kind of person, I'm a hybrid. I could be the loving father who knows how to say the right words, but with a your typical general masculine touch to it. That's like, okay, gentle giant, right? Just cut teddy bear. What? Not teddy bruh, but teddy bear. But I can also be that tough love general sergeant that's an asshole. But some people can take that. Some people need that. Some people, when it comes to working out, like I said, I'm that kind of person. I'm that kind of person that needs somebody to not degrade me, not disrespect me, but aggressively motivate, aggressively push me to do more. It's a competitive thing, like sports. If you play sports, you kind of know what that's like. When you're coaching, everyone's getting intense, right? That's what I need in certain settings. I don't need that in my home, but when it comes to business or something competitive, again, like the gym, Carmen, she's the same way, right? From our conversations of us talking, she's the same way. But behind closed doors, listen, Carmen grew up in Hayward, California, in the 90s. She was raised on Eazy-E and Tupac, and she was in damn well recite Bone Thugs and Harmony. So you can test her if you want to, but I completely understand that woman will probably get so mad she'll start moving at the size of her high school weight, right? So is the message important? What you're trying to tell me is more important than how you're telling me, especially people who are really bad at communication. This is important for all of us to understand this, right? Because there's certain people who just don't know how to use words because communication isn't their thing. That's not where that's not their strength. So they might be stumbling and fumbling over trying to find the right words. Are you the kind of person that can sit back and say, just say it. Say it and we'll figure out the meaning later. right? Because then you can kind of go through what it is it's trying to say by them just spitting it out, right? But if you're the kind of person that you have to be very delicate, there's nothing wrong, at least in my opinion, of sitting there, taking a deep breath, because they will understand you're trying to find the words to resonate with them. And that's very, very crucial. I gave a shout out earlier to the teachers, some of the most underpaid people in the history of underpaid people, right? One of the problems with our educational system, at least in this country, is we try to make students learn how we teach, right? I think it would be way more successful if teachers were able to figure out how students learn. Because now you have, okay, you learn like this, you learn like this, you learn like this. What I would do if I happen to be smart enough to be a teacher or patient enough to be a teacher is I would try to break the students up in groups. So all my students who are analytical can sit in this section right here. All my students who are pictorial can sit in this section right here. And all my students who are kind of a mixture of the two in this example can sit right here. Because now I know this board has to be mainly this, while this board has to be this, and this board can be a combination of the two, right? And at least now the student understands why I'm learning this way, because this is how I learn. This works best for me. I myself, I am a pictorial learner, right? When I get instructions to put something together and I try to go through and read the instructions, sometimes the picture in my head does not match the words on the paper. So when I look at it, this table now looks like a fucking giraffe. I'm like, I don't know how this giraffe has 3 legs, and this looks nothing like a table. But if I look at the picture and then go to the word, oh, this is this type of screw. Ah, this is this type of bolt. Oh, so this is what this bolt looks like. So now I'm familiarizing myself with this type of bolt. So if I see this anywhere else, I can identify it. Same thing with this screw. Same thing with this wrench. Same thing with this piece of plastic. So now all I gotta do is make this bolt go into this hole on this edge, so that way these screws can hold this together, and now my table looks like a table. And I can say, oh, I just made this look like the photo. It wasn't until after I dropped out of college that I realized this is how I learn. Which is the reason why, or another reason why, when I talk to people, I use landmarks and I use very descriptive, detailed phrases to paint the picture for you. So, you guessed it, you can see the picture too, because I'm a pictorial learner. So everything I say is almost extremely detailed. Some people think that's too long-winded until they see what I'm explaining. Then it turns into, oh, I get it now. So you have to ask yourself, are you more of a message or are you more of a delivery? This is not one of those, you have to be one or the other, but this is one of those, which one are you more so? So I've learned to be both. So I can give you the delivery, or I can give you the message, or I can give you a message in such a delivery, or I can give you a delivery that you get the message. I can finesse it however I want to, but that's because it's taken me time in order for me to do that. That's why when it comes to entrepreneurship, works best for me, because I have a picture, I have a vision, and sometimes my message does not get through to certain people. Love you, but I gotta go. Which is another reason I feel like this podcast avenue is so good for me, because my words do paint a detailed picture for a lot of people to where it's, again, I never looked at it from that angle before. I never saw it from that perspective before. And like I said earlier, if this was all to be typed out on social media, for example, I wouldn't know what voice you're hearing this in. An aggressive voice, whatever mood you're in voice, the mood that the person that you just got through talking to put you in voice, I don't know. So the message may not have gotten through. You may have missed a key part because this part pissed you off. You missed the closing part of the sentence and you just skimmed over it because you were waiting for your turn to reply. So it's very, very important to kind of understand thyself when it comes to communication. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to get off my chest today, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I sincerely appreciate you guys giving me your time this Monday afternoon. I hope wherever you are, traffic is not as bad. I hope your air conditioning system is blowing extremely cold to where you have to turn it down because it's freezing in your car if it's hot where you're at. May your heater start smoking because it's so damn hot if it's cold and rainy where you are. I want to give a shout out again to everybody out there busting their ass in public, to the construction workers, everything, man. Listen, if you see somebody out there that needs a helping hand, do what you can without judging them because you don't know their situation. You don't know where they came from. You can only make the assumption one way or another. 3/4 of those people, man, they had good lives, just a bad turn somewhere, and they were just never able to get out of it. And I'm coming from experience. One of the worst things that can happen to a person is they fucking lose faith and give up. That's an abyss you don't ever want to be in. Never. Because that's how people lose their way. Give a shout out to Business Lounge of Successful Entrepreneurs on Facebook. I see y'all, man. We will be back again Wednesday, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, at the E.I.T.H.R, TheEITHR. Love y'all. Be good. And we out.
State ascoltando il podcast E.I.T.H.R con E.I.T.H.R.
You are listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with E.I.T.H.R. Tell a friend, or we will probe you.
This is Erica Hampton, owner of lifestyle and fashion brand Tagged Up Apparel, listening to my guy E.I.T.H.R on E.I.T.H.R Radio. What's up, Davey?
Hello, my name is Candace Romero, and it has been my absolute privilege and honor to be teaching people about doTERRA's essential oils for the last 9 years and helping people live their most vibrant life. If you'd like to learn more about my natural solutions, please feel free to contact me on Facebook at Bay Area Terra Tribe Essential Oils and Natural Solutions, or check out my website, my.doterra.com/Romero. That's my.doterra.com/ROMERO. Thank you.